Hello and welcome to Film Companion South. Today we are going to be talking about Uriyadi 2, written and directed by Vijay Kumar. I remember Uriyadi very well because the film came out of nowhere and I didn't expect much out of it. But it was gritty and it was so sensationally effective that I kind of left in a bit of a shock. This is actually not a sequel, even though it has a number in the title. It's more like a kind of an in-spirit sequel, I guess. It still has the same protagonist played by the director Vijay Kumar. His name is Lenin Vijay. There are other similarities as well. Once again, you get a sense of that seething social anger underscored by the use of Baradwaj verses. Once again, you have these unscrupulous politicians who are playing caste games and trying to get into bigger positions of power. Uriyadi, one of the nicest things was how well staged some of the stuff was. And here I especially like the heroine introduction scene. It's actually a scene where an astrologer tells her family that she is going to have a love marriage, but the staging is such that the heroine is almost like in one corner of the frame. The emphasis is more on her father, who is not very happy with this news. But the difference in this Uriyadi is that the hero is glamorized. In the first part, if you remember, he was part of a team, one of 4 friends who got into violence simply because these politicians, thugs would not let him alone. So it became a game of one-upmanship. You're doing this to me, so I'm kind of retaliating, and then you're doing this to me and I'm retaliating. That was the way the game played out. But here he becomes almost like a crusader. Some might even say he's a bit of a vigilante. But here's the interesting thing. Despite this heroism, this is not a hero movie as such, because there is a sense of a political ideology, and let me explain this bit. We see Lenin Vijay framed against pictures of people like Che Guevara and Lenin, and there's one scene which is very kind of significant, I think, in terms of identifying this filmmaker. There's a blood stain running over his face and he just rubs the blood all over his face, so his face turns red. But more interestingly, the frame turns red. So it's not like a fade to black, it's a fade to red. This makes me wonder if the character's name, Lenin Vijay, is not an accident. Lenin from the communist leader's name and Vijay, which is the director's own name. And this fusion, I'm wondering if it means that we are actually witnessing a filmmaker like Pa Ranjit, except that the blue color of Ranjit is now replaced by red. The crux of Uriyadi 2 is a combination of the Bhopal and Sterlite tragedies. So we are talking about big issues here. The film is bigger in other ways too. The romance is bigger unnecessarily. So the tragedies are bigger. They're milked really, really hard. It's almost like these tragedies are shown in such graphic detail that yes, it's important to know that, but we're also at a realm where we don't know whether we're being manipulated with the images just for the sake of it or whether there's a real point to this. How much you enjoy Uriyadi 2 therefore may depend on how much you value ideology versus filmmaking, because this is not as subtle a film as the first Uriyadi, and the messages come at you with the force of a sledgehammer. And with me personally, the more emphatic the message, the more I tend to resist the film. But I'm relieved to report that Vijay Kumar is still a very solid filmmaker, and the best example for this is probably the pre-interval stretch. It starts small. It's an attack on the hero and his friend, and the setup to this attack is superb. It's almost like dance choreography, and then it kind of segues into a chase, and then the chase progresses to this moment where the hero's running and then the villains are chasing him, and then suddenly the hero turns back and he says, okay, now I'm getting this big hero strikes back moment. You think that's what's coming, but instead the sequence builds and builds and builds, but it's no longer about the hero. The scale expands and it's suddenly about a lot of people. What starts off as about like just 2 people suddenly becomes something about the village. And here again you sense that spirit of communism, that egalitarian spirit where it's not about one person, it's about everyone. Uriyadi 2 is not half the film the first one was, but it's not a sellout either. I'm going with 2.5 stars. The full review is up on the Film Companion website. If you like this video, do subscribe to Film Companion South. See you soon at the movies.